All right, Pixel Hardware team, did you get all that equipment ready to launch today? We have the Pixel 6a, it's cheaper, and we actually made some headphones with active noise cancellation. You're welcome. Wait, is that all you have? I thought we were gonna unveil the watch and the Pixel 7 and the 7 Pro and the tablet. Were we supposed to have that ready by now? I thought that was next year. No, we were gonna announce it today. That was the plan. That was today. Whoopsie daisy. We have some aspirational renders of what they could look like later. Okay, fine. Let's just take the renders. Oh my God. What are the bezels on that thing? Well, it's kind of hard to get thin bezels on the round display, you just make the UI black and people don't even know where the bezel is. It's no big deal. We're marketing other smartwatches in today's presentation that have thinner bezels than that. People will just buy those watches. It's not a big deal. We don't want them buying that watch. We want them saving for the Pixel Watch. Well, we don't have any Pixel Watches, so no harm, no foul. Okay, we probably shouldn't even announce the Pixel 7. I mean, we're still selling the Pixel 6 for full price, and this is just gonna cannibalize sales. Nah, don't worry about that. No one's buying the Pixel 6 anymore. We can afford to cannibalize sales. That way, we get ahead of the leakers. So the leakers won't get as much attention. Why do we care how much attention the leakers get? I don't know. We would get a lot more Twitter followers if we tweeted out our own renders. Okay, we contractually have to have the Pixel Watch and Pixel 7 out by the fall, but tell me you can have the Pixel tablet ready by then, please? Maybe next year. How about next year? That sounds good to me. Everybody happy with next year? What time next year? Early? Late? When next year? Stop with all the specifics. It'll be done when we get around to it. It's fine, okay? It's fine. Okay, we're gonna have a lot of time to fill on today's event, but I guess let's begin. Genuinely just gonna be 100% honest with you guys. I didn't watch Google I.O. I've spent a lot of years in the past watching it. There's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of information that I don't really care too much about. Of course, being an Apple sheep, it's just lost a lot of my interest over the years. But I have been following the updates via Twitter and via Discord of the highlights of kind of the hardware announcements, which is what I wanted to talk about today. For one, no sarcasm here. The Pixel 6a seems like a great deal. I mean, it's only a couple bucks more than an iPhone SE, but it has a much larger display, a much better camera system. You may lose out on wireless charging, but the fact that it's got the Tensor chip and still has a modern design with a built-in fingerprint reader for $449, that sounds like a pretty dang incredible deal. So I'm not really interested in reviewing it myself, but I do think that will be a fairly compelling option for people in the mid-range Android smartphone market. That may be a decent offer. As well as the Pixel Buds Pro, which are $50 cheaper than AirPods Pro. The case has wireless charging, and the battery life on each individual bud with noise cancellation on can last 7 hours, which is honestly really, really good. That's like almost 3 hours longer than AirPods Pro last, which are more expensive. And of course, it's impossible to review them today because they're coming in the summertime, but I'm very curious to hear how they sound and how the transparency mode will work on them, because AirPods have pretty much always had industry-leading transparency mode, but it's always come at the cost of battery life. So where Google sits in this fairly competitive market of noise-canceling earbuds will be kind of interesting. I hope that they're taking the hardware seriously. Google has kind of struggled with software optimization in the past, and freaking Apple can't even get firmware right on AirPods Pro. So if Apple can't figure it out, I have a hard time believing Pixel will do it much better, but maybe the times are changing. Maybe they're putting a bigger emphasis into software development and hardware, especially when you consider Google's going back on a lot of things today. But either way, those two hardware options that are going to be available this summer seem like incredible deals. And even though I rant on the Pixel a lot, I just want to applaud them for making some good bargains. Well done, Google. But let's talk about the rest of the stuff announced today, because this is when it gets like progressively weirder as the announcements go on. But I guess I'm not entirely shocked because Google's marketing team has never made sense to me. So yeah, they're still selling the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro today, by the way. There's no price cuts or anything. You can still buy the latest flagship, and yet simultaneously 6 months before the Pixel 7 is ready, they're unveiling it. They're showing off the camera design on the back, the new color options, and of course Google is now accommodating for the iPhone 14 eye hole by putting it on the back of the Pixel 7 because they're just convinced 2022 it's the year of the eye hole. You gotta have the, pill-shaped cutout and the circle next to each other. I'm starting to seriously wonder if Google designs things based on iPhone rumors. Like, this isn't the first time it's happened. Like, they unveiled the Pixel 4 way ahead of schedule, and it looked just like the leaked reports of what the iPhone 11 was going to look like that year. Obviously, those leaked reports ended up being way off, but clearly the Pixel 4 camera bump felt inspired from that. Now, I feel like the Pixel 7 camera bump is basing its design off of iPhone 14 leaks, which I get it, it's different, on the front of the phone versus the back or what have you. I personally preferred the camera bump of the Pixel 6 a little bit more just because it seems to be more busy to have, like these different hollow lens cutouts on the back, but maybe it helps combat with fingerprints and dust collection to have that whole module on the back be steel or polished aluminum, whatever it ends up being. It's a fine look. Personally, I think the Pixel 6 and now 7 camera bumps are the best approach to camera bumps on the market because you eliminate the wobble, and it is a fairly iconic look. Like, you can see the back of it and just know, yep, that's a Pixel. It's not a Samsung, it's not a OnePlus, and it's not an iPhone. So if you're going for iconic, recognizable, while at the same time practical and eliminating the wobble, that's a win in my book. I know it sounds like a small thing, but frankly, every time I hand my iPhone 13 Pro Max to someone, the camera bump is always the first thing that people point out. They're always like, oh my god, your camera bump is huge. And then they complain about how it wobbles so much on a table when you lay it down. Knowing that the iPhone 14 is just going to make that camera bump even larger is making me glad I'm not upgrading this year. But I generally like the overall look of the Pixel 7, so that sounds cool. And it's supposed to have a next generation Tensor chip, which once again, we know nothing about. And the pricing, we know nothing about. So they intentionally just wanted to keep this incredibly vague and not go into too much detail, which is bizarre to me because we're 6 months through the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro's lifespan, so unveiling the next flagship absolutely is going to cannibalize sales, or at least convince people not to buy the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. But hey, maybe we should give them credit of letting Pixel owners know in advance, you probably shouldn't buy one right now, here's what's coming later. Apple definitely would never do that because it's financial suicide, but maybe it's better to be honest overall. I don't know. You guys let me know if you think this makes any sort of sense. But okay, they've revealed flagships before. Let's just say the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro are selling so bad they don't care about cannibalizing sales, although Google said the Pixel 6 has been selling great, so maybe that's not saying much at the end of the day. But they finally confirmed it. The Pixel Watch is real, and those leaks we were seeing for years definitely ended up being accurate, as did the bezels of the leaked Pixel Watch, because they're finally showcasing what the screen looks like when it's turned on, and I'm not loving it personally. Like I mentioned earlier, they literally showcased other Wear OS watches at this event with thinner bezels than the Pixel Watch, and the Pixel Watch isn't even out yet. They didn't want to talk about pricing, they didn't want to talk about size, they didn't want to talk about the resolution. They didn't even say if the silicon inside the watch is powered by Google. Is it like a version of the Tensor chip or something? We don't know. Basically, they just wanted to showcase the design, which I guess the design with the display off is pretty dang good, considering the OLED display could allow for a lot of black pixels. Maybe if you like minimal, kind of smaller, elegant watch faces, I wouldn't mind it so much. I do think it looks cool to have the glass kind of tapered off around the edges, and of course just having let's call it what it is, it's a digital crown on the side makes a lot of sense, makes scrolling easier. But as Google is showing with their own visuals of the Pixel Watch, you cut into content, especially text, quite a bit when you go forward with a circular display. It's kind of a bad idea on a smartwatch in my opinion, and I understand why Apple doesn't go in that direction, but I think what matters more so than how Wear OS handles that tiny display and those big bezels is just how much time and attention they're gonna put into Wear OS on this watch to make sure it works reliably, and is it stable, is it going to last a long time, what the battery life is gonna be like in this thing. I don't really know for sure at this point, but we know it's coming. We know that there will be some other event in the fall where before they go into more details about it, but my prediction is they're going to use an underclocked CPU in a very crappy GPU so that the responsiveness of the display is not very good, but the battery life will be awesome. It'll be like a week or 2 week battery life, just with really crappy performance, and that would make it fall in line with pretty much every other Android watch on the market. But I do also anticipate they will undercut the Apple Watch. That seems to be their approach with Pixel Buds Pro, is like undercut Apple, but typically under-deliver at the same time. But overall, if you're just asking from terms of aesthetics, I do think it looks pretty nice. It's a pretty looking watch, but unfortunately, smartwatches are used for a little bit more than beauty, and those bezels have a long way to go in comparison to what we can get these days with the Series 7 incredibly thin bezels. That's kind of what I'm used to, so Pixel Watch better be cheap with a display that tiny. And if you thought that was too vague or not filled enough with details or cannibalizing current day sales enough, Google then went on to mention that in 2023, they are releasing a Pixel tablet of sorts. No, you said you would never do it. You told us you were leaving this Google. You said you would leave it. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm just having a post-traumatic slate syndrome because I've seen Google make tablets before. I remember the tablets, and I will never forget them. And the fact that they want to go back to that, and they're telling us that it's gonna be a premium tablet on the larger size, and they briefly showcased the front. What did they change about the Pixel Slate since last time? Oh, they gave it white bezels. I feel personally attacked and offended on spiritual levels. I feel personally offended in multiple dimensions. There are Drews in other universes that are offended by what's going on in this universe. I think we're on Earth 420. That's probably our number. But the fact that they want to do a white bezeled premium Pixel tablet again, but of course they're too nervous to tell us about the pricing, to tell us about the specs. All we know is it's got a Tensor chip, it's got some speakers, and hey, a way freaking smaller camera bump on the back than an iPad Pro, that's for sure. But it's meant to complement your Pixel phone so well. What do you mean? Like, it would go nicely with the phone in the trash? I'm not sure what they mean by that, other than maybe it's just a blown up version of Android, because that's what tablets have been. And I thought that's the reason Google left the tablet space, was because they felt like they just couldn't get it right, and they would rather just waste their time on Chromebooks with their spare AdSense money. But no, I guess they want to give this another try, just to kind of complete the Pixel ecosystem that they have kind of thrown up across the website, where you're kind of like, where did you want lenses to be? How do you want your cameras laid out? And how do you want your pricing structured? It's this weird mesh of ideas on the Google store right now, where it's like, here's our latest offerings, but also this is coming in the next 6 months, so you should probably wait for that. But I guess, yeah, they're getting back into the tablet game. I hope they bring their A game when it comes to software and actually take advantage of a larger display instead of just doing blown up phone apps. Not saying iPad OS is doing much better, but I'm just easily able to confirm that Android does not scale well on a tablet, and they need to address the software way before they start getting serious about the hardware. But now I feel like they're prioritizing the hardware at this point, so I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and just say maybe Google's taking things more seriously. Maybe they're going to be amazing with the next generation Tensor chip, and perhaps the next generation Pixel Slate will support dual booting, and it'll be ARM powered with really great efficient chips, and it will have pro-class video editing software, and it will run Mac OS with a keyboard and mouse, and then I'll have to buy a Pixel Slate. Unless, of course, all of the options have white bezels, and then it's a no-go for me. But what do you guys think of all of this crazy hardware Google unveiled today? Are you excited? Are you confused? Are you scared? Are you wondering what day you pass your death day every single year? All that good stuff. Let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I think I'm gonna vomit!